Um, so there you go. I'm trying to put it all into like some kind of context here. Like, what does it mean? I think the easy questions are like, oh, did we underperform? Are we bad? Are we not a good team? Greg, what are your immediate thoughts to all those things?
Just missed opportunities. Virginia, I think, left the game out there for North Texas to take, and they just weren't able to do it down the stretch.
Yeah.
They came from behind there at in the the
Regulation.
regular part of it. Yeah, regulation.
What do
Sorry.
you call it when it's the regular part, but not like the extra?
Yeah, not in the extra time. That's a
Mm.
different sport. So in the second half, they're down the stretch where they hit some key shots to climb back in the game, get tied. But then there was a period where Usman missed some shots. Thomas Bell had the turnover. So they missed, and then we had the shot at the end of the game to win it. Couldn't knock it down. And then in overtime as well too, there was just missed opportunities. They didn't lock down defensively on Franklin, like you said, and he burned us, got them a lead. So I think that's just my easy way to sum it up.
I
You
like
had
so.
every chance to win that game, you just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, and that's so two things about it, right? One, you can't ask for more. You always want a chance to win it, and I thought that North Texas did well to put themselves in that position. Like it's postseason stuff. This is not the NCAA tournament, sure. And I thought it was interesting. The broadcaster getting to talk to them, and they had basically said, "Yeah, I don't want to go to the NIT," and then they're like, "No, next day, let's do it. We can win this NIT or whatever." I wonder if that had something to do with some of the little bit slow start against Texas State. Well, not slow start, slow middle. But in this one, I thought everybody came out strong. It was a classic North Texas kind of game. They played good defense early. Anything that Virginia did, I want to give Virginia credit. They're a good team, a talented team. I like Gardner. I think he was clearly a talent. Beekman was good. I made mention that dude is like he got a rebound and went the length of the court a couple times. If you want to criticize North Texas as missing something as part of like the next step or something like that, that could have been maybe they would have won the Conference USA or something like that. Is they didn't really have a guy that could do that, right? Like a Quan Jackson from UAB that would steal it, go the length of the floor, and get an easy bucket. North Texas would steal it and then just kind of win it. Again, it's a slight criticism, right? It's not like, man, this team sucks, because the team doesn't suck, right? 25 wins on the season, 25-7, or 26-7, right? That's good, but I think you can see the next step there, right? Like Beekman, steal, easy bucket. He sparked that 10-0 run that Virginia had in the second half, and you know we need that. Um, I thought the other side of it, JJ Murray played really well. He had was it 5 assists in this one? North Texas gave him the ball and said, "Be the point guard." They had Perry running off a couple screens, and they were missing Reuben Jones in this one. That's another no. I think Reuben Jones would have probably been guarding Franklin a couple times, and you know, JJ Murray ran the pick and roll with Abu Usman, who was dominant, and that sparked a comeback that almost won the game for them. Almost sparked a comeback in the overtime. I thought there were a lot of gutsy plays in this one, and I mean, I'm happy for him. I thought that North Texas played really well, even if, as you said, they left some opportunities on the floor, which they did.
Yeah, I mean, certain guys, yeah, played well. There in the beginning of the game, Virginia, it just didn't look like they scouted us well at all. Like they just
Yeah,
didn't really care because they were doing things that allow us to run good offense
yeah,
and how they were guarding us, and then they started to adjust and were like, okay, we can give these guys some cushion, not let them drive to the basket, and then that kind of slows down their entire offense. When our offense was kicking, the ball wasn't sticking in people's hands for 15 to 25 seconds. JJ did play well at times. I think he does turn it over. Every once in a while, he made a bad pass down the stretch. Other guys did too. He didn't really make a ton of shots. He took a shot late too, which I don't know if McCaslin was happy with that, but somehow the ball always ends up in JJ's hands near the end of the shot clock. So, I mean, at least he tried to create offense, right? You can't not, he was one of those guys that when his offense was on, the rest of the offense was really efficient. But when he wasn't making shots, defenses were like, okay, we're just going to leave that guy alone, and it's not going to be a problem. But then, like you said tonight, they put him in the pick and roll situations down there on the baseline, and he would hit it on. Virginia did a really good job, just like all the other teams that guard North Texas well. They do the hard hedging, and they were doing that to Perry. I mean, they were really beating him up at the top of the key, or anytime he came off of a screen when he had the ball. I mean, they were really physical with him, and that kind of disrupted his game. And I wish he would have tried to get downhill a little bit more, but he didn't play bad.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like well, what is it? I think that the benefit of playing good teams, right? Tony Bennett's a good coach, right? He's a national championship winning coach. He's won ACC a bunch. You know, that you see how they're going to guard you at the highest levels, right? What they're going to do, what that kind of thing, and I think it makes you a better team. And now for like say Thomas Bell, I think Tony Bennett thought Thomas Bell was a really good player. I think he praised him in the pregame, and then he as they were leaving, he kind of gave him a little extra pat and a little extra conversation, like you're amazing, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And he is. He's a good player. Um, Thomas Bell's gonna be gone. McBride probably gonna be gone. But you look at like Tyler Perry, Abu Usman, and we've said this before. I think that dude, if he can continue his development, he has Conference USA Player of the Year type a season in his grasp. Okay.
You did die.
Yeah. All
Glad
right.
to see
I'm
you
back.
alive.
Yeah. So last we left you, I said Abu Usman has a chance to win Conference USA Player of the Year. Like just the way like I said, he's obviously going to have a lot of challengers, right? I mean, but I think if you can get 15, 20 points a game, uh, and like 10, 15 rebounds, which I think is within his grasp. Like I said, if he continues his development, he went from an intriguing kind of prospect, like sort of backing up Zach Simmons to being very good this season. You continue that, I think you have a chance. I mean, does he need to win it? No. Do we need him to be Conference USA Player of the Year type dude? No.
I mean, that's going to be the other thing. Can North Texas hold on to him? And I mean, he's not from Texas. He's from the Brooklyn area, so maybe one of the Big East schools might try to go get him.
I don't know, man. Maybe St. Peter's, right?
Yeah, he might say I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. How many times have we seen that GIF this past weekend? But
yeah, so like, all right. So my point in saying that, right, like that, I think is that he's good, right? Is that he is come a long way. He's an integral part of the team. He played a very good game in this one. What did he have? 16 points, 4 rebounds, something like that. Yeah. He played well. He did a good job. I liked his game. I still like his game. I think he's going to get better. He probably can just add a little 15-footer to his game. He doesn't need to be Jalen Gardner out there. You know what I mean? He just needs to be able to have a face-up game to keep them honest. There's a couple times in this one where Thomas Bell, Abu Usman caught the ball and had a good look, but then, like they had to go start backing him down. I think that slows us up, which is fine, right? We like to play deliberately. But I think that it makes us a little predictable, and in certain situations, it's difficult. We put a lot of pressure on, like say, Tyler Perry, and then McBride to ball up. McBride was awesome, 6 of 11 from 3 in this one, 21 points for that guy.
yeah, he was very good. I mean, he tried to attack the basket, didn't really finish. And this is Jerez I'm talking about. Didn't really finish a lot around the rim. But it's always good to see him attack the basket, and then he hit clutch shots down the stretch, which I mean, he's really done for the entirety of his career, and he played pretty good defense. Played a lot of the game too because, like you said, we didn't have Reuben Jones. So I mean, he does have eligibility left, but I don't know if he's coming back or not.
Yeah, he's another sort of question mark. I think they said. I wonder who they were talking about specifically. They said the leaders on the team, and I'm thinking it's probably led by Thomas Bell. Were like, yeah, we're done. I don't know. I don't know that everybody comes back again for the next one. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the game because I thought there were some things about the way they defended us that kind of highlighted some weaknesses. Um, they were defending Perry. He couldn't get anything going when he had to go one on one, so they moved him to the off ball. That's something we talked about in recent podcast episodes, where it's like we probably need another ball handler, right? Somebody else, a scorer, somebody to take the pressure off Perry. And you can swap it, right? You can have Perry run the point or like be the primary ball handler for a stretch of the game, and then just sort of hand it off. But I think that it's a lot to ask for him to do not only the ball handling but the scoring, right? JJ Murray again was great in that role in this one, but he's not as much of a threat. It'd be great if Murray could be a threat from three or something like that. He was 0 for 2 in this one from three. Wasn't really attacking. 0 for 3 on the game. I think you got to upgrade whatever position that is. I think you mentioned it, right? Move Perry off the ball. That's probably the ideal long
Yeah, so
term.
like, I mean, we had talked about it the last podcast, but I kind of thinking about it changed my mind. I think his best suited role is somebody like a Mo Gibson, where he is the number two. He's not the primary
Yeah.
ball handler the entire time, because then I think that frees him up to move off of screens and get open shots to where, I mean, he had to work for everything in these tough games like UAB, Louisiana Tech, um, and then the Texas State game, then this game against Virginia, where teams are really putting him through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
When he's trying to go, get a screen from Usman or Bell, they're really like being physical with him. If you move him off the ball, there's a little bit more freedom of movement, and I think he would. It still allows him to be who he is, a scorer. Like that's what you needed him to be. You needed him to be a scorer. So not having Ruben though, man, that really hurt tonight because he is that other guy. He was that other ball handler. He had 40 minutes of Virginia beating up Tyler Perry,
Mm.
where Ruben could have taken some of that off. He would have been able to guard Franklin probably a little bit better than some of the other guys. But you know, I, I wish I kind of wanted to see Stone a little bit more. I felt like the way that he played when he got in the game, he deserved some. He got the rebound and the putback, and they put him in there at the end of it. He didn't play the whole second half. He gets in there the end of overtime, and he strips the ball away from the one guy, and Thomas gets the rebound and the putback. And he didn't really look lost defensively, but he gave them extra athleticism, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that they need to upgrade is go get some athleticism,
Yeah, I mean, you're losing.
some guys that can play above the rim. You're losing Thomas.
Yeah, and I think he did it. He was an unbelievable athlete. Or is an unbelievable athlete, being able to play the four man at that position, but also like do a lot of like a defensive wing, like a defensive three kind of deal, where he could guard your three, he can guard your two, he probably even guard your one. I said this before. He has made some big plays in his North Texas career. So round of applause for him. I don't have audio for that. Um, but like he's been able to, like, I was looking back at the Purdue win, even that Western Kentucky overtime win in the championship game last season. He came up with some ridiculously huge important blocks, and we're gonna miss that. Like, Abu Usman is not, he's not a shot blocker dude. You know what I mean? So
He's made some big blocks this year too.
yeah, but Thomas
He
Bell
got
is the main guy, right? He's the main guy doing that blocking. What are you looking at?
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, but Usman, like I said, he's made key blocks. He's not,
Yeah.
a crazy defender. Like Thomas Bell can defend anybody.
Mm.
right? He can defend a guard, he can defend a 7'4" guy, he can defend guys like Kenneth Lofton. So that's what made him so unique. He was just versatile. He could score, inside, and he could score outside. But we really didn't get a lot of him scoring outside this year, and I think that hurt the offense throughout the year. He wasn't able to knock down the three at the rate that he did in previous years, and maybe that had to come. Maybe that came from them asking him to do more.
Yeah, so I thought he had 6 assists in this one. To your point, I wonder exactly what happened because they did praise Thomas Bell, but they didn't let him do some. Uh, well, they didn't guard him the way some Conference USA teams are guarding him, where they would kind of get him, double him on the post or whatever. And some of that was like North Texas changing the way they were getting him the ball. They got him the ball a little bit further out and had him attack. Um, Whatever the situation was, 6 assists for Thomas Bell, 12 points on the night. He had some tough putbacks, 8 rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds, right? 12 total, 4 offensive rebounds. Good stuff from him. Played 45 minutes tonight. I mean, he was great. He did it. He did a very Thomas Bell type of performance in this one. Uh, all
Does it
praise that
feel
one.
does it feel crazy that we go out to end the season shooting 78.6% from the free throw line in a game?
A little bit, yeah. Like I mean, it's. I always feel like whatever your are, right? It's gonna, you know, be what causes you trouble at the end, right? Because a lot of times good teams will make you do the thing you're weakest at, right? Free throw shooting is sort of one of those things that. Sorry, I didn't mean to send. I sent you a link. I meant to send it to somebody else. Free throw shooting is one of those things that you. I mean, yeah, you can control. You can get to the line, but I thought in this one, the way that they made us weak was like they were sort of asking us to. They're saying, okay, Tyler Perry, how many clutch shots can you make? And I don't say over reliant because the dude got us there. It's like that he had a 4 point play, right? We had a chance to win it with Tyler Perry. That's the sword that we lived and died by, right? Late game, Tyler Perry get a big bucket. 55 all, 8 seconds to go. Tyler Perry with the ball. I love that situation, right? If you ask me, this is the situation is going to be, and are you cool with that? Yes, let's do it. He did it against Texas State. He got a good shot off ish in overtime, but the regulation one, I think, is one he and Mac and everybody wants back. I knew he was going to take a step back corner three look there, but it
I
seemed
didn't
like
know he was
go
going to
ahead.
take the corner three. I was hopeful that it would just be a straight on one, no screens, no clutter. Like it seemed like it was too cluttered over there on the sideline. It wasn't a clean look.
Yeah,
And
I
you give Clark a lot of credit for that too.
I think they were trying to be like, they were trying to run a set, right? And you see this, you've watched a lot of college basketball recently. You've seen this where they do like a throw ahead, and then so that way you're not dribbling up the court, you can kind of throw it ahead, and then get the ball back and sort of reset and then go to work. Um, the one way to defend that is to just kind of double it and force the pass, right? Because obviously the team wants their best dude to be the guy receiving the ball, and if he's not, then what do you got? You have the screener or somebody else doing it, so it ends up becoming a chess match. So to your point, yeah, don't don't run that because then you don't risk taking the ball out of your best player's hands, right? Even for that moment. I agree though. Like I don't know.
If I was Mac and I was going to run a set and not an ISO, I would have ran it for Drez.
Yeah,
But in that situation, and I'm fine with doing either, right? Drez has hit big shots, so you could have ran a set for him, and I think you would have got probably a little bit better look. But I just, like I said, I think it was just there was too much clutter over there. He went with the fadeaway shot, and look, like you said, we lived and died by his shots, and he didn't make it. But look at what Virginia did to him like all game long. He played the entire game. He got beat up on offense. Then on defense, he had to run through 45 million screens trying to chase. They started him out on Clark and then McCaslin. I think they changed it up, which was good because Clark is a tough dude to guard because he's so fast.
Yeah, you end up
Um,
chasing him all game. Yeah,
but then they changed, they switched it. They put him on Beekman, and then they switched him on Franklin, and that didn't work out well because Franklin was just getting the shots, and then he
getting
was in
loose. Yeah,
rhythm. So you're asking, Perry to do. They really asked him to do a lot this game, and like you said, he was there. But I mean, that's tough.
yeah. So I mean, that shot at the end. There's a couple things I think they would like to improve. Mac was obviously pointing out, hey, you got to get a better shot there, whatever. I think there's one criticism of Coach Mac that I think is valid, is that he's a little too demonstrative to his players on the court, and like it can. I mean, it looks annoying. Like I said, all the other stuff, whatever. You can kind of make up for that by being like you basically have to be a great guy, in the locker room and all this other stuff because there's sometimes like, come on, what are you doing? And you're like, like on the court. It doesn't sound like necessarily the kind of. It's actually I don't know. It's like this Zoom thing. It keeps dropping. Zoom's killing me. All right, so I was making a point before I was so rudely interrupted. Zoom. And that point was, I mean, I don't love it. Like he was very clearly saying that's not the play you're supposed to run. You're supposed to get over here, whatever. Uh, whatever. The guys win. I'm not gonna question that, but he was clearly telling Perry, "Hey, look, you got to take a better shot than that." A little bit later, I thought there was plenty of time. It was like 30 seconds in overtime. I think Perry pulls up for a long three. Again, fine. That's a shot that you want from your best shooter in that situation. Tyler Perry is the best off the dribble 3-point shooter we have, or even catch and shoot in a lot of cases. So you don't hate that. I thought though, and he ended up doing this the next drive, is that you could drive in and get a bucket, or at least attack the basket. You can get an N1, and or something could happen. You get a layup. You're only down 4 at that point. You go down 2, and then you never know what can happen. Virginia shot terribly at the free throw line, so that was amazing. They gave us more of a chance than we should have had late. And I mean, like I said, we hit the shots against Texas State. We didn't hit those shots against Virginia. That's the game. That's it. There's nothing really to analyze besides any of those things, like in terms of like late game scenarios. Whatever. They got shots that they can hit, they can make. They missed them. Cool. That's fine. I thought the real criticism was, or like it's not even like criticism. It's like the real limitation of North Texas basketball this season was that they were not that deep. We knew that coming in. So for them to win 26 games, win the regular season title with that lack of depth, that's that's a point to praise them and say great job, because they didn't really have anybody, and Texas State sort of made them pay for it. Taking them to overtime. Tyler Perry got fouled out. Ruben Jones got. Did Ruben Jones get fouled out in that one too? I thought he did.
I don't know. It was a long time ago. My criticism
That was like
of
three,
the
4 days ago. Go ahead.
yeah, what's happened since then? My criticism of the offense, it was playing through Thomas Bell. I don't know if he was suited to be the guy to run your offense through. Like we were missing another dude that you could. We had a bunch of guys that were number 2 and number 3 type of players. They weren't like Javion Hamlet. Like this is the one guy. We were missing that dude all year, right? And I know you don't grow Javion Hamlet guys on a tree, but
Yeah,
and they're
exactly.
tough to recruit. But that's where I thought that the biggest flaw was, because like Thomas is great and he did a lot of things, but where he just kind of hamstrung the offense was the backing down in the post and then taking kind of some wild shots, and that he wasn't as efficient from 3-point range. He didn't have a mid-range game. Usually your best player or your number one guy can go score at every level. Thomas can score from behind the arc and at the rim. He's not going to score really from a mid-range game, and that kind of condensed the offense a little bit. And then I mean, not having the depth was, you would have liked to have one other guy maybe, or at least have a better offensive option than JJ Murray, right? And that's nothing against JJ. He was a great defender all year, and he got on the first team all defense, and that was well deserved. but there's no denying that he did hurt the offense throughout the year. And offense wins you games, and it does win you championships in March. Your guard play does win you championships.
Yeah, I don't think they were saying too much different, right? Like we're missing a couple more guys, and I think a couple more guys fill that in, right? You have a different option for JJ, maybe a knockdown 3-point shooter, or maybe that's another big, right? Or maybe that's just something, like I said, somebody to spot Thomas Bell in a different aspect. Whatever it is, like yeah. So you just look across the way. I think Virginia had a similar situation. They have a point guard, and Kihei Clark is good, but he has his limitations. They had a shooter that couldn't shoot, and outside of that, they had nobody, right? So it was a little bit like how we're looking at McBride and saying, "Please hit threes, because we ain't got really nothing else." And then they have Gardner, who can't really step out, so he can hit that 15-footer, and that's kind of it. So you can see why they didn't get to the NCAA tournament. Virginia, very limited. Their defense wasn't great. You can see why we were so good. Our defense is very good, but then we are also limited offensively, right? You also could see that. Again, I think it's a credit to the team for them playing beyond those limitations and getting the results they did. I think it also made it harder to win those games. This Texas State game shouldn't have been as hard, I don't think. Credit to Texas State. But, in this one, there were opportunities, but it was sort of the same thing. We're asking a lot of Tyler Perry. And, you can look back to last season. We asked a lot of Javion Hamlet, too, right? We said, please uh, carry us in these clutch moments. And
But
amazing
that's the
that he
way
did that. But, yeah, yeah,
they,
yeah.
they built the offense
Yeah.
that way, right? So to expect something different this year and then to not have that guy, I mean, you had to expect our offense to take a step back. And, it did. It wasn't as efficient as it had been the past, I don't know, like 3 years or something going back. We had the 2020 year with Dengu and Mo, and the offense was just off the chains. The defense struggled a little bit. And last year, the offense, it struggled, but it got kicked in late in the season. The defense was pretty good. This year, the defense was really good. And then the offense was kind of, it had its moments. If we weren't hitting threes, we weren't, really beating people. And I don't say like hitting, bunch of threes, but hitting threes efficiently. And so, I mean, that's,
I mean, yeah, that
but
that is the game, right? That's basketball, right? You get shots, you got to hit them. I think so. The purpose of like scheming and all this other stuff is to get good shots within the offense where everybody knows where they're coming from. I thought North Texas did that a lot, but I thought again it required some superhuman kind of things. Where like we absolutely need Thomas Bell to fly in and overpower a guy that's bigger than him by 40 pounds, right? Again, that's tough. Tyler Perry, we need him to get buckets, even though he's 5'10". And as it got harder, right? As we played in the conference tournament, as we played in the NIT, you start seeing better teams that have better game plans, better athletes, better players, better coaches, and they're more prepared for that kind of thing. And I thought that was it. And I don't think that's bad. It was a great ending. That was good. I think we learned a lot about ourselves in that respect. Um, uh, I think again, just we said it in the Slack. I forget. I don't have the Slack open right now, but we need. I think somebody said we need more speed. We need some more athletes because we're gonna lose Thomas Bell. We need more scores, another off the ball scorer, and I think we'll be in a good spot. I like where North Texas is in terms of the coaching staff. I don't really see anybody leaving right now. All the jobs closed up. Is that true?
not all of them. South Carolina's still open, but they're not looking at McCaslin. And LSU's still open. That's kind of like a wild card. Don't know where exactly they're going to turn to. They tried to swing, I think, big for a couple guys, but they kind of struck out there. It's tougher for big guys to move in college basketball than it is in football. So LSU may be looking at a mid-major guy, maybe the guy from Murray State. And there's going to be like 3 or 4 other jobs where guys move laterally or, that open up. But is one of the regional jobs going to open up? I don't know. Muss is doing well at Arkansas. Buzz maybe at A&M. But I think they like him. but that would be the one thing is if he would take the LSU job, which I don't know if he would, and then I think A&M would go after McCaslin if that's the case, just because if you haven't seen Tang, the Baylor assistant, he jumped over to Kansas State tonight. So yeah, I mean, any job that opens that's a decent job, McCaslin's going to get mentioned for it, just because he's been a really good mid-major coach. But if you're an athletic director, I mean, has he done enough to prove to you that he deserves it?
I think Red Baker thinks so. But
Well, Ren's already got him, hired, and it's fine. It's other people, and maybe McCaslin's happy and he doesn't want to leave, and that's good for us. But yeah, like you said, when you look at the mid majors that had played, if you watch the NCAA tournament, there's been really good mid major plays, right? You see Murray State, you see San Francisco, you see St. Peter's, the Peacocks, you see UAB's in there. Houston's not a mid major, but they're a regional team. But all these mid majors that made the tournament, they had really good athletes. And I was just watching it, I was like, man, the athleticism is off the charts at these schools. We need to kind of match that here at North Texas, right? We had a group of really just good basketball players. They executed down the stretch of games. They executed in games. They played well defensively. They communicated. They did all the little things right. What separated them in some games was athleticism, like against UAB, like against Virginia tonight. If you had more athleticism, that's what's going to take you to the next level.
yeah, and I think we said this before. I thought losing James Reese was big. You knew he was going to move on. You wanted to kind of get, but we didn't really get a James Reese type dude in his place because Reese was an athlete. He was springy. He could sprint. He was usually the guy that was finishing the breaks. And this one, like seeing Beekman get the rebound, push it through our guards, and then get down for a bucket. I was like, I don't know that we have a guy that could do that kind of thing um, anymore. And
I
that's
think
tough.
Ruben can be that guy. I think Ruben can be that guy.
That's true. I mean, I mean, like on the floor. I was like, well, who do we got that can
Yeah,
match that? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tonight,
I got you.
yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't have that guy.
but that's the deal. Is you probably want a couple guys, right? You need a couple, and I mean, this is a silly kind of thing. Like, I think we should get the best possible basketball player on our basketball team. Yes, yes, that is the goal. They're out there doing it, trying to get these dudes. Um, as far as like a destination, is North Texas a place to come to? Now I don't know. I mean, SMU's pretty good. They're like a very local competition. I don't know that UT
They
Arlington.
lost tonight.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know that UT Arlington is really, challenging North Texas for recruits. I think Louisiana Tech is though, and maybe UTEP, but Louisiana Tech, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Tulsa, um,
TCU.
TCU. Yeah, those are the kinds of squads that are really competing with North Texas for like in terms of who do we get that wants to be in Dallas or something like that. I think we're not necessarily winning those battles. I don't know how much we've been making any contacts or inroads in Houston. But I mean, I was thinking we didn't get. I mean, nobody got him. Right? Did Gonzaga dude Timmy? He's from Richardson. I don't blame him for not
Yeah,
getting that guy. That was
I
that
mean,
was a little while ago. But then I was thinking about how like Kenneth Lofton, we let him get out of Texas. We let him go to Louisiana Tech. There's a lot of dudes that go to Louisiana Tech or something like that. And I feel like we got to win those recruiting battles. We can't let Keaston Willis leave San Antonio, right? He was at Incarnate Word to go to, Louisiana Tech. I don't know exactly what happened there, whatever, but I just think about guys that could have been really good for us that are not star level dudes, not like Kenneth Lofton kind of guys. I would love to have a Keaston Willis out here, right? To do a little bit of the Drez role where you can say, hey, look, J.J. Murray's in here for his defense, but when we want to go offense, we got Willis, we got McBride. Or maybe McBride can get a breather so he can go a little harder, more intently. We can do some more stuff. All right, I don't know. I'm not a coach. But I'm just saying, I think that, looking towards next season, I don't know exactly what happens. I think a lot of teams are going to use the fact that McGaslin might not be there for long or something like that against us. It's not as big of a deal in basketball as it is like in like football, right? But it is a thing. They're like, yeah, you're gonna go there. Ain't nobody gonna be there, man. Everybody that's think it's gonna be there next year, they're gonna be gone. I think
They
that's
probably
something.
used it this year. I
Yeah,
mean, they probably used it. They probably used it against us this year in recruiting because
yeah.
we were trying to get after a bunch of guys, and we weren't able to land them. A lot of transfers, a lot of JUCO guys just weren't able to get it. And I mean, it's not only that, but I mean, do you want to? You have that. We love it. We love being called the slowest team in basketball, but that is a stigma. Kids want to get up and down. You're going to be coached hard, which you mentioned on this podcast. McCaslin's not going to be shy about getting all up in your ass when you make a mistake on the floor. So can you handle that? And a lot of kids don't want to put up with that. They want whatever's easiest, and they want to score a lot of points. So, but then again, you have Kelvin Sampson down at Houston. They play amazing defense, athleticism off the charts, but their tempo is a little bit faster, and they're able to recruit guys. Texas Tech, the same thing, defense, but they're able to recruit some offensive guys too. So I think that the thing for McCaslin to look at himself this offseason is how can we continue to be really good defensively, but be able to score at a better pace. Like we don't have to sacrifice a ton of pace, but we need to be able to score a little bit quicker at times.
Yeah, I agree. I love the idea of maximizing every possession, but I think some of that can be earlier in the offense. I think there's a little bit like you can watch him against Rice. When I watched him a little closer than I have all season, like actually sitting closer to them, that like Mac is calling the plays. I wonder if that affects their flow a little bit. I mean, you can kind of see he's like yeah, screen Thomas, and so I feel like, hey, look, that's to me. If I'm a player, I'd like to see that call now as we're coming down. I don't want to hear any ums. I don't want to hear. Let me think about this. Hold on. Let me look at the defense. We don't need that, coach. We need you to be ready with the something. And I feel like if there's a criticism of the coach, it would be that. Like,
I would like for guys like Ruben and even Perry who came from places where they played faster that go look for your shot early, and if it's not there, then we can get into the slower paced offense. Like let them guys cook a little bit early in the shot clock. If you have, I felt like I've seen this, a bunch of times this year where Ruben would have a step or Tyler would have a step, but instead of taking the guy to the basket, they'd hold off and then they dribble back out. And to me, that's not running offense. That's hurting yourself. Let those
yeah,
guys go attack early. If they're not able to get something early, then okay, let's slow it down. Let's make sure everybody's touching the ball and work from there. That was another thing. Like guys need to, when our guys touch the ball, when it doesn't just stick in Perry's hands, when it was moving from Perry to JJ to Jerez to then to Thomas, then somebody was getting an open shot.
yeah,
You just can't stand around.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff that happened. You could see it where it was like pass, find the open dude. There's I know that these guys can coach up the offense and all that other stuff. Which tells me that there's something missing, or there's a reason they had to adjust it. I mean, obviously, every coach would be like, yeah, there's a lot of offensive sets, and you can see that North Texas at various times in Mac's tenure, they've run some Spurs stuff, right? Motion strong, motion weak, and if you're like, what is that? You can Google it. They have a YouTube thing. You can see the play stuff. Um, they've gotten away from some of that, and I wonder what it was. Like, was it the guys not getting it? They didn't see, I know they have a bunch of dudes charting this stuff, so we don't have the full access to it. But maybe they're not seeing enough, points per possession when they're running that motion stuff or the 4-out motion or some, they used to run a little bit of that, a little bit more Villanova type stuff. You know, so
Yeah.
my guess is that they're not seeing when they're doing analysis, when they're watching film, enough of what they want, and so they've made these decisions, and that's fine. I can get that, but I think they know, and we know. Uh, and we're talking about this from a consumer standpoint, right? What do we find entertaining? We want to watch good basketball. We don't want to watch like a war of attrition out there. I don't mind playing slow basketball. I don't mind winning with slow basketball, but what is the upper end of this? Like, is it struggling against Louisiana Tech in the conference tournament? And again, with the caveat that this particular roster, this particular team, was in like a rebuild kind of year. Nobody really expected them to win anything. So I don't know. I'm just wondering, what's the next plan, or is this just like a stop on the way down? You know what I mean? We don't want that. Yeah, we
No,
want to be
I
more
think it's
Western in that way, where they went to the title game 4 or 5 years in a row.
yeah. You mentioned Villanova. Villanova does. They're a slow team too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the top or the in the bottom 25 of tempo teams. They do a good job varying their pace, and they play that four out, got a bunch of guards type thing. So I think if we could find a way to have the subtle variations in our pace of play, I think that will make a huge difference in the offense. And it'll make it difficult for teams to pick up on, like, hey, we don't just got to get back and then we can get settled in.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get back. We don't know if they're going to attack right off the bat or not. Right. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of watching a little bit about this Virginia team and how they adjusted. Right, they got smacked in the mouth versus UMBC. Everybody remembers that, and the way that they bounced back was varying their offense a little bit. Right, they have the blocker mover, and they added a little bit more continuity, ball screen, little other things to it, so that way they can get. You saw it tonight, right? They ran a ton of that blocker mover stuff where it was pin down after pin down, and then North Texas was trying to jump that pin down, and they would flare out, and they got a look from there. Like Kihei Clark took a shot and he missed it. You can see if they had better shooters, then it's very difficult to guard that. Right, those pin down screens, very difficult.
yeah.
It's pretty much why every offense has that in some way. But the way they run it, because they know exactly what to do, that they can just get into it. Everybody knows what to do. That makes them a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient. You can see it. Like I think you were complaining in the Slack about how we were getting beat because they found that dump off. It's very difficult, right? Because they'll go pin down. It's not there. That guy
I
will run
wasn't
around.
complaining.
No.
I
I know
was
what you're saying.
pointing it out.
Yeah. That guy will continue to run to the other side and then come off a flare screen. And if that's not there, he'll run down and do a pin down. It just keeps going. So our guys did a great job of guarding that, because that's very difficult. You said
Right. I mean, if you're going to beat teams like that, you got to scout them really
Mhm.
well, and you have to anticipate the players' mind thoughts. Like, I know what this dude is going to do when
Mhm.
I do this. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I beat the guy to where it is.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah. I thought we held them to 55 points in regulation. Great job. We kept a lot of their dudes, bottled up. Gardner had his run. He's a good player though. He's good. My point about all this, right? The Virginia adjusted. You can see late that they started getting more ball screens. They had Kihei Clark and one of those big dudes higher up, and changed the point of attack. Made North Texas think a little bit, right? To your point, right? They know that teams are like, all right, we know how to guard this. They're gonna do this same screen again. I'm ready for it. And then you hit them with something different, right? It's every sport where you're like, this is gonna work if we keep them honest. This will work every time. And every once in a while, we'll catch them cheating, and we'll hit them over the top with something else they weren't expecting. I mean, that's the game. That's what makes it beautiful, and that's why I love basketball. So I love football and sports. Um, but yeah,
I got nothing else.
yeah. Well, I wanna read some stats real quick. While I got you here, you tell me everything. Can you guess what our points per possession was? Don't look it up.
In that game,
Yes, this game right now.
1.12.
Not terrible. 1.113. Theirs was 1.2. Yeah.
Look at
They
that.
had,
Look at
yeah,
that.
I like it. I like it. They had 59 possessions. We had 62 possessions. Yeah, we turned the ball over 17% of the time. We led for 12 minutes, and we trailed for 25, and we were tied for about 8 minutes. McBride 21, Bell 12, Tyler Perry 16, Usman 16, J.J. Murray 0, but he had 5 assists. Real clutch assists. Scott with 2, Stoneman with 2. On their side, Kihei Clark 11, Gardner 17. He was 7 of 17 from the floor, no threes. That dude, he was pretty good. I like that guy. Beekman 13 points, but he was most clutch. He had 9 assists. I think he's one of their big assist guys and 3 steals. Clark had 3 steals also. Franklin, their dude Franklin, 5 of 7 from 3, 17 points. That guy just all of a sudden decided to become Reggie Miller in this game, or the old version of himself. Also, Statman. I forget his name. His first name, Statman. The Statman, Cody Statman, 9 points, 10 rebounds, and I think he had a block or something like that in 35 minutes. He was +6. Franklin, -13, turns out. He had all those points, -13. Stone, +2 on the night. There you go. Supporting your point. Give the man some minutes. He was +2. Stone man, balling out. Would this game have been different if we had Reuben Jones? Yes or no?
Yeah, obviously it would be different.
Like material, like in terms of outcome.
No, I think we still would have lost.
I mean, I thought that it really came down to whether or not we were aggressive and we were going to have to survive a little bit of their physicality. And I think they hit us with that. I was thinking it'd be more their bigs and kind of Usman getting bottled up. But it was their wings that did it to us this time. Like 3 steals, 3 steals, yeah.
Virginia was not a good 3-point shooting team, and they
No.
shot 52% from the 3-point range. There you go. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has to do is that guy, he's had a terrible season. And then
we don't let people hit threes. And so maybe to your point, where if Reuben plays, he doesn't let Franklin get off the threes that he did. Yeah, and you're giving up, instead of giving up those threes, maybe you're giving up 2s because Clark is beating Gardner or beating Perry off a screen or something like that. So I could be right.
Yeah, well, I think what happened, and as we wrap this one up, I think what would happen is that Jones would probably be on the ball where he bothers people there. He either gets a steal or he makes those passes a lot more difficult. But this kind of time, they were like, okay, you got whoever on Clark. We're gonna find whoever Franklin is being guarded by, and that was like Perry a lot of times, and so he was able to get some open looks. I mean, it's a height advantage, right? He's like 6'4", and what's his name, 5'10". Is he 6'4"? I don't have his height information in front of me.
Reuben?
Armand Franklin.
Yeah, he's probably like 6'4". Just say 6'4". Everybody on that team 6'4".
Everybody's 6'4", including their 7'1" center. I will say there was one thing that North Texas alum, I don't remember this guy's name, but the broadcaster, he was hyped about being back in North Texas. He was like, not a lot of 7'1", 240 centers in Conference USA. I was like, I can think of like 3 or 4 of them already, just off the top of my head. I was like, what are you talking about, man? There's some quality centers in Conference USA, and that I didn't like that. There's a little bit of Conference USA ain't good when I think Conference USA is year to year, like at least the top 4 teams, pretty good. So I mean, I didn't love
nobody's
that
paying attention to Conference USA basketball.
No, they're not. I mean, we're the crazy people that do it. All right, Joe. So, as we look towards next year, what are we looking for? Some transfers? Are we getting transfers? Is that we're getting older, staying old? What are we trying to do? What do you think?
I don't know. It's they wait till the end and pick off guys that are under recruited, underappreciated. They're gonna hit the JUCO route hard.
Yeah,
that's what they're gonna do. They don't have a ton of offers out for high school kids. They got a ton of offers out for JUCO guys and some really good JUCO guys. I think they have like 5 or 6 guys in the JUCO top 100 that they have offers out on. And then it's going to be kind of like playing the transfer portal thing. Can you go get a Jelly Walker type of dude? And not necessarily like a small speedy guy, but can you get somebody that impacts your team?
Impactful,
like
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Tyler Perry was obviously a hit. I thought Brown and Hamir Wright were misses. We got Brown from like Corpus Christi, right? And then we
Yeah.
got Hamir Wright from Washington. I thought Hamir Wright was going to be sort of like a Thomas Bell type dude, and then he didn't play basically the whole season. So I felt like we're talking about the depth on this team. That was an obviously important position, roster spot that I think could have provided a little depth. Obviously, they also had Simmons. He got injured towards ACL. That sucks. He was also going to be in that rotation. Might have been the eighth man. But I thought Wright being out, that was huge, or like not being a major contributor because he was supposed to be, right. Here's a guy with 3-4 years experience at Washington, supposed to come over here and do some things. Didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's the thing. North Texas basketball is good. We have high expectations. I like it. I do think that we can probably stand to fill the super pit a little bit more, and we probably will as everybody you know picks up these last couple seasons, gets back into the habit of like going to games and stuff like that. Right? It was still a little bit coming off the pandemic and all that good stuff. So
If you can afford to drive there, you have to take the bus to get there, or ride your bike to get to the super pit. Can't afford to buy gas these days.
get an e-bike. Apparently those are the wave of the future. Micro mobility. It's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Mean Green Nation podcast. Shout out to Greg for joining me at such short notice. The next show will probably get Aldo back in here. He's been a world traveler, fancy guy, this dude. And we'll probably talk a little bit about football. Y'all remember we had football on this team. We're gonna figure out if like Jace Ruder's the dude. If I saw that they moved Kid Drummond to like linebacker or something like that. He's eating a little too much of Mama's cooking. They're like, look, son, you're gonna you look like you're
It is
better.
good. I mean, you can't beat the creamy mashed potatoes.
I
Made some
mean,
chicken pot pie on brioche toast the other day, and that was pretty good. I'm gonna just say that recipe's good. The Frito chili pie recipe's good, although it has beans, and all you people get all uptight about beans in your chili and all that crap. It don't matter. It tastes good. It tastes good. So yeah, they moved him to linebacker, but who cares? It's football. It's Seth Luttrell. It ain't my thing.
I mean, they used to be good, right? They went to a bowl game. Um,
Got their ass whooped, but
Look, I'll say all I asked of Seth Luttrell last season was, can you please beat UTSA, right? And they did, and so I got my moment of joy. You want the sports teams that you follow to give you just a little moment of joy once per season, and like for North Texas basketball, that was winning the regular season, that was good. All the other stuff, beating Texas State and NIT, that was fun. For Mean Green football, expectations were lowered. We're all like, please beat UTSA. And that was great. I had a great time watching them whoop up on them UTSAs, and that was great. Good times were had by me, and that's all I could ask for. I didn't get to go to the bowl game, like I said, because I'm way over here now. But I heard it was fun to drink some drinks, but it was not fun watching them lose in the Frisco Classic. Did I ever tell you so? Me and my grandpa, we used to watch Frisco Classic when I was a young pup. As I imagine you did too, fun, good times. You used to talk about how he used to listen to the Frisco Classic on the radio. Good times. Good
yeah,
old
that
Frisco
was
Classic.
between a couple high schools.
Good old Frisco Classic. That classic matchup between, a couple
I thought
college football powerhouses.
no. It would have been between some powerhouses, 2A football, state of Texas, drawing more home fans than North Texas games. Good times. Good times.
What else was I gonna say? So that will be the next thing on Mean Green Nation. And then we're also gonna take a break because I am tired. I have been enjoying watching all this college basketball now, but I think I started having a dream about it. Like I was like, oh, you gotta hit the postman on the cut, and I was like, all right, it's probably too much. And then I asked my wife for some chores. I was like, hey, what do you need me to do? If you give
So
me some,
before I sign off, like
yeah.
Jelly Walker was in my dream last night. Not last night, actually, it was 2 nights ago, and he asked me to go play for him. I'm serious, he did. I'm like, why are you asking me to go play? I'm not good. I mean, I could hit a three back in the day, but I mean, my knees right now they just tell me no. But he
Maybe he
was in
signed up.
there.
Maybe he forgot he signed up for like a rec team. And he's like, oh, hey, look, it's a little co-ed rec team down the way. Can you fill in for me? It's just sort of like a charity thing. Maybe that's what it was. In this
I don't
dream
know.
scenario.
I woke up and was like, what the hell?
Yeah, you probably been watching a little too much basketball. Also, it's a good time, but it also I'm glad for this break, right? This week break. I don't know if I'm gonna watch any NIT or anything like that. It was a good run. The NIT was the most important tournament going for a little bit there, and now it isn't. Funny how that
Yeah,
happens.
I know. Today, I didn't keep up any of my game day superstitions. I didn't do any of it.
Wait, so you're the one that made us lose then,
I guess I'll take another L. I'll take another L.
huh? Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. It was a good season. I think one thing that all of the Mean Green Nation, and I say this all the time, right? I named it Mean Green Nation because it's a joke, and I don't know that everybody gets that it's the joke. Um, but whatever. That we got to get used to being a real important program that wins and has winning expectations. Um, if that's what you want. If you don't want, that's fine, right? If you would like, it's fun every once in a while, like every 5 years, every 10 years we go, and then we win whatever league we're in, and I learn who's good on their team, and that's it. That's fine. That's an okay way to do it. But I think if you want people to care regularly about the program, that looks a little different than what it looks now, like now, right? In terms of attention and including criticism, good and bad. I always say on meangreennation.com, what I at least try to do is give some perspective. I think if you're going to watch it, you're going to criticize it, it's good that we at least know a little bit about it. I think Greg knows about some basketball, so I think his criticisms are good. I try to know a little something about basketball. I definitely try to know a little something about football, at the very least. So if I'm going to say something, it's not just like, man, they should try to score touchdowns. Yeah, we don't want that. Like we see them doing something, let's try to at least understand what's happening. Um, so we can get some solid criticisms in there, and I think we do a decent job doing that. But that's our give back to the community. And so I think for everybody involved, coaches, players, ads, all the other good stuff, we gotta adjust it, accordingly if we want to be a good program. I think there's a lot of toxicity at the highest levels. People saying some crazy stuff, and we don't necessarily need to replicate that. But I think more attention means more criticism, right? And then more different expectations, And I think everybody can't be just happy like, what, we lost. Usually after loss, there's like one guy saying something. Now it's gonna be 20 people, right? That's how it goes. If you want to play big time college basketball, and I think North Texas wants to be big time college basketball. Anyway, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening to Mean Green Nation podcast, and for however many people battled through some of the sillinesses that I had here. I apologize. Zoom kicked me off thrice. Zoom, God dang it. Where's my Skype when I need it? I hate Skype. I hate Zoom too. So I mean, I hate all business class software. I think, and I think we're done, ladies and gentlemen. Go